Okay, I'm back. Hopefully, hopefully people in the chat. I lost the chat when the battery died. I need to. Is there? I don't even know if the camera has a power supply, but it has a fresh battery in there now. Uh, oh, let me see. Sorry about that. Huh? Okay. Oh no. Okay. Sorry. I had to go through two batteries. Hopefully this battery lasts. Okay. Am I focused? Let's focus on me. Okay. I was about to say something. Oh, that's right. So I have a saying when people say it sucks getting old, I say it's better to be getting old than to be old. Anyway, that's my saying. Let me go back to my live stream here. Okay, sorry about that. And I lost the chat from before. So if you said something, asked something that I didn't answer, feel free to post again. Pictures as AI generated. Is that a question? Are you asking me what I think about pictures that are AI generated? I was talking about this earlier. I don't know if you were here. Let's see. Have you used Tmux API works on non-rooted phone or Termux? Yeah, yeah, the APIs work on a non-rooted phone. They just allow you to interact with Android stuff like notifications, SMS messages, all that stuff. It's just another application that works in conjunction with it that gives permissions to communicate with Android stuff. So no, you don't need to root for the API stuff. At least most of the APIs, there might be something on there that you might need to root for. Although I always highly recommend rooting your phone, or at least unlocking the bootloader so that you can root it at any point without having to wipe the whole phone. Rashid, is this the Rashid that I've talked to in Element before? It's been a while. I don't know. If you're asking pictures as AI generated, again, I think it could be a good or bad thing, but I think if someone has a great idea but they don't have the artistic talent, I think it's great that AI would allow someone to do that. Again, I would prefer them to be free and open source, which I know that I don't really follow AI very much. I know there's some open source applications out there for AI, but then I hear the language models that they use are locked down and proprietary, so it's kind of like, I don't know. I guess it's like using an open source program to access proprietary videos and pictures. I don't know. Termux lets you use your phone sensors. You can do war driving, scanning Wi-Fi's around you. Yep. And log in GPS. Yep. Chris, from every side you look like Christian Slater from Mr. Robot. SAQ, are you the guy from the Element My Matrix chat? Because someone in there said that too, and I will take that as a compliment. When I was a teenager, I so wished that I had hair like Christian Slater. I'm like growing my hair long. I have pictures of me with long hair. You know, from all the way. I have. At one point, I had hair down to my shoulders for a very short amount of time, and so. And I just wish that my hair looked like his. He had amazing hair back in the day. Okay, SAQ. If and again, as I was talking earlier, I think it was you in the Element chat. Sometimes I feel like I come across as rude, especially if I'm grumpy about something else. I sound grumpy when I'm talking to people, and I hope that I did not insult you at any point in the Element chat, in the Matrix chat. So let's see. This video's got 2 likes and 6 people watching. Let's see. I did have some other things I was thinking about talking about. I just need to think about what they are. I do find it funny since we're talking about AI stuff, how there's laws against doing certain things with AI, which And in some aspects I see, but it's just like you're not going to stop people. I mean, it's good to have the laws so that if you catch somebody doing something, you have legal backing. But 3 likes now. Actually, 4 likes. Awesome. If you wear glasses and the clotes, you look like him. When you say glasses, like sunglasses or like reading glasses. Let me get my $2 Walmart readers that I never use. Hello. So, again, I appreciate the Christian Slater comment. Everything's blurry because these are for reading. I am so bald right now. That's why I wear hats in my videos. And for the last year and a half, I've been buzzing my hair really short because I just felt like I should. And then the other day I was looking at pictures of myself from a couple of years ago where I still had hair, which I still have hair. I'm going to take my hat off here in a second. Because when I look at myself in the mirror, I don't look that bald. But then when I see myself in the camera, the top of my head, it looks way worse than it does in the mirror. So yeah, that's not too bad. But then if I look down like this, I can't see right now. But in the camera, it looks like there's absolutely nothing here, but I can feel that there's hair here. Yeah. But I'm trying to let it grow back out a little bit. I don't know. Clinging on to what I still have. Oh, that's the one thing I wish I still had was hair. But, yeah. A little teardrop. Anyway, but hair has a lot to do with genetics. Yeah, so my dad has been bald my entire life. My dad was completely bald by the time he was 30. So when I hit 30 and I was 35 and I still had hair, I was like, yes! People will say, oh, it's from your mom's side of the family. I don't know if that's true. My mom has a full head of hair. My mom's parents died before I was born, but supposedly her dad had a full head of hair. So I was told, oh, you won't go bald even though your dad's bald. I've lost my hair. I still have a lot more hair. Like I said, by the time my dad was 30, he was completely bald. And I'm 44 and I'm not there yet, but I'm still losing it. In my family, it's gray hair. So one of my good friends, Mike, he's only like 32. His hair is completely white, and I guess his brother is too, and his dad is too. Like when he hit 20, his hair just went white. I'd rather have white hair than be bald. I have white speckles, but I'd rather have hair of any color than no hair. Let's see. Trying to think of. Oh yeah, you guys are just now seeing my bald head with the delay in the video. Yeah, I need to figure out better settings for FFmpeg because I feel like the longer I go, the more the delay is happening on the video. Let me look again at my upcoming videos and see if there's anything I want to talk about. I still have a lot of web scraping stuff coming up. I really just thought web scraping would be get more views, Let me go to my dashboard or my analytics and see what my top videos are. Oh, well, I hate YouTube Shorts in some aspects, and I've talked about this before. I hate them for a few reasons. I hate vertical video. There's a few small cases where vertical video is okay, but most of the time they're not, and I hate it. If YouTube just said, we want short videos, that would be great. But the fact that they have to be vertical drives me crazy. I still make them, though, because they get so many more views than my regular videos. People seem to like them. I actually wrote 3 lines of JavaScript for a plugin on my browser that if I click on a YouTube short, which normally I don't because, again, I have keyboard shortcuts where I hit Y, F, type in the letters next to the icon because I'm using Vimium, and then I hit Windows Windows Alt Y, and it will stream the video using MPV. So I don't usually watch videos on YouTube. But if I was to click on a short video for some reason, maybe someone sends me a link and I just click on it, it actually because another thing I don't like about shorts is the viewer for them. So the viewer for them, at least on the desktop, it doesn't have like a thing to slide. I don't even know if it shows you how long the video is. It just doesn't give you enough control. And I don't even think it has a full screen button. But you can take each video has its own ID. You can take that and put it into a regular YouTube URL. So I actually have it set up that if I click on a YouTube short, it will go to YouTube short and then immediately forward to the regular YouTube player for that short. So that helps a little bit. I also don't like when you're scrolling through your subscriptions and you get to a short, they don't tell you who the creator is. They don't tell you the length of the video, which isn't too big of a deal because they used to be less than a minute, but there's a lot of people making shorts that are now 3 minutes, so I guess they up the time. They used to have to be less than a minute, but people are making like 3-minute shorts, which is fine because they're still pretty short. Anyway, my top videos are drawing in your terminal on Linux, short. Then RetroArch, missing core fix, which was from 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. And this is my top in the last 30 days. Brave blocking unwanted website elements, not the full video, the short. And then one video that's been near the top of my list for years now is I have a video on solving a 2x2x2 Rubik's Cube. And so that's been near the top. Let's see. Then another short that I put out on drawing in your terminal with color. Another one on RetroArch. I haven't looked at this in a bit, so RetroArch. And then writing your first script for Linux. And this is from 2016. So I've redone that. I think that's just like the title. I should just make another video with that title and probably get lots of views. And then one video, which is now number 8, but had been my top video for years, is Bash, USB credit card swiper script, code for magnetic swipe HID device Linux shell. And that's all that is I have somewhere over there, a card reader that acts like a keyboard. You swipe it and it types it, and then I just showed how to do that in a script. And I think that gets a lot of views because it has the words credit card swiper in the title, which I meant swiper, not like swiper like you're stealing. But I'm pretty sure it gets a lot of views because people think they're hackers and that they're going to get something useful out of this. And the script is useful for just grabbing the input from that and chopping it up. But my point to that is I should make clickbait videos with more titles. There was a video that I was just talking about, though. What was the video I was about to say? I've been doing a lot of web scraping because I thought that would bring in more of that crowd, people who are interested. But I'd actually show them something useful, not just some script kiddie stuff, Okay, let's see. More comments. You heard about new age of computers going on? No, I have no clue what that is. We focus on the wrong things on our skull and crossbones, not our... Oh! So I guess you're saying we're focused on our death? Not our hair, but brains? I don't know, I get the skull and crossbone things. We focus on the wrong thing on your skull. Not sure if links work. If you put a link, it didn't show up. This is something that really opens the floodgates for customizing the internet that you see. Yeah, so if you put a link, it didn't show up. But is that the new age of a computer? Should I search that? But yeah, as I said in previous videos, there's a lot of programming languages out there. Some are better for other things, but two languages I think everyone should learn is Bash scripts, because it's so good at just automating things on your computer regardless. Windows now has Bash installed by default with the Linux subsystem, whatever. But you could also install BusyBox on everything from Windows XP up. I don't know about previous to that, which gives you a Bash shell. So no matter what system you're on, you can write shell scripts. So I think that's a good thing to learn. And then JavaScript, just because the web... A lot of people, I don't like JavaScript. It's a horrible language. Yeah, all languages have their ups and downs. But JavaScript is used on almost every web page, which is not a bad thing. But the thing is, you can modify any website if you just know a little bit of JavaScript. You can do it in the developer console, but you write JavaScript. You put it in a JavaScript file. You make a manifest file, which you only really need to do once. Put it in a folder, and now you can load that into your web browser, and anytime you go to whatever page you set up to, it will run that script. So that's why I highly recommend JavaScript, just because it gives you so much power over everything you do, because everyone spends all day on websites. A lot of the apps people install are just websites wrapped in a app wrapper. But yeah, I don't know what the new age of computer is. This is something that, oh yeah, read that. I'm really surprised of the Pi Zero W how much functionality it can have. It's cheaper than other Pis, but it still has fully functional computer in the palm of your hand. Yeah, again, if you need a full Linux computer and you need it to be that small, a Raspberry Pi is pretty good. I'm just saying people will use them for things that a microcontroller like an Arduino or an ESP chip can do much cheaper, much faster, and then people will use it where if you don't need it to be small, you can get something much more powerful, again, with all the peripherals in a laptop or a Chromebook running a full version of Linux for cheaper. So again, the niche spot for a Raspberry Pi is the size and what it can do, but the price point, if you don't need it small, you can get something much better for about the same price. By the way, there's only one S in my name. I say it because you keep saying Chris with two S's, and every time I look at it, it looks like you're typing the word kiss. Please, Chris, don't do clickbaiting. Yeah, no, I wouldn't. At least not purposely. You know, there's clickbaiting and then there's clickbaiting. There's clickbaiting where you type something that has nothing to do or is very misleading. And then there's sometimes where it's like, this would be a better, more accurate title, but this is also more accurate, and I feel like it would bring in more people. My thing is, I'm just going to make good videos. People complain about the thumbnails of my videos, too. I had someone say not too long ago, oh, I like your videos, but I don't want to share them because the thumbnails look so bad. I mean, is that really why you wouldn't share? I mean, a thumbnail is to draw people in who don't know what it's about, but if you think it's good and you share it with somebody, are they really going to criticize it based on the thumbnail? And I've tried sometimes putting in effort into thumbnails. There was a while where I had a design of thumbnails where I had a color bar with the topic and then a title, and then I would usually put some pictures off to the side, and I would do a different color for different topics. So if it was a bash script video, it would be green. It would say bash script at the top, and then it would have the title of the video or the topic of the video in the middle, and then I'd have like tux off to the side. And then I had, if it was on, I don't know, I forget, I had like 4 different colors going. I don't know, video editing or something, it was orange, or if it was on video games, it was blue, and I had a different color for each topic, but it was the same style. I was doing that for a while. It was a lot of work, and it didn't make a difference in the numbers of views. And then, like if I go to my videos now, I try to, I don't know, a lot of my videos, it just looks like text because it's a terminal, which I think makes sense since that's what the videos are about, but I want people to not, when you look at the thumbnail, go, have I watched this one yet? So I want it to be a different. So sometimes I just grab random pictures and overlay them, add color effects, and so it's just like some random design. Sometimes I'll grab a thumbnail that has to do with the topic and throw that on there. Yeah, a lot of my recent videos are just text. Yeah, sometimes I will just find weird pictures of myself. I'll search through pictures of myself and find ones where I'm making weird faces because I figure if it looks weird, it might draw people in. It doesn't. Here I did a bunch where I basically did the same background, which was like terminal text, but I shaded it different colors and then did some orange text that's hard to read over top of it. I've tried a lot of different things when it comes to thumbnails. I find that it does not make a difference on how many views I get. Also, the video that I posted yesterday, someone complained about the audio, which people complain about the audios on my videos all the time. Right now, I am using my good microphone, which is what I use when I'm recording most videos, when I'm screen recording. If I'm recording from a camera like this, usually, to use that camera, I have to sync the audio and video after like I'll record from the camera and I'll record the screen, and then I have to line up the videos, and I don't have time to put that much effort into a lot of my videos. So in that video, the first part of it is me talking, and it's the camera microphone that is recording the audio, which I think sounds fine. But I think 2 people complained about me sounding tinny and hard to hear. And I think, yeah, it isn't the highest quality, but as long as what I'm saying is clear, I'm not making a movie here. And hopefully the audio is synced up right now. Again, because if you guys are just joining us now, when I started all this stuff, this was just an experiment using new software to stream from my camera and my mic. So hopefully all the audio is lined up. Let's see. Don't clickbait. Skull. Hair instead of brains. LOL. I love a plugin called Custom CSS in JavaScript. If you Google "if I don't like it, change it," AG5. I'll look into that. I try to, so as far as like extensions or plugins or whatever you want to call them for the browser, I have Vimium installed, and then I have mine, which is just a whole bunch of scripts that I wrote. I'm very particular, just like what I install on my machine, I'm very particular about extensions that I install. So Vimium is a well-known thing. I have that installed because I love the keyboard shortcuts for it. But everything else, I just write myself to modify the pages. But I could see something like that, that allows you to easily customize CSS or JavaScript. Would definitely be useful for somebody who may not want to learn a lot of coding, but I highly recommend everybody learn a little bit of JavaScript. I think if I had to pick one language for the average person to learn, it would be JavaScript, just because they interact with websites so much. To know some JavaScript would allow them to fix any website that doesn't work the way they want. Which I can tell you, I'm sure a lot of us, when you go to work, there's probably websites you have to interact with that are just horrible, and you can fix them just by writing some JavaScript. SAQ. You asked about network scanner, right? You'll need Nmap and a little script to have network DIRs and tree command with all the ports. So Nmap is great. Install it on Termux on your phone. I used to have a little script on my phone that I would click and it would automatically start scanning and logging the network I'm on. I haven't done that in a while. I'll just manually run Nmap now. But what I had to do was, because scanning the whole network can sometimes take a while, so I would have it quickly scan the network for just port 80, port 9100, because those are the two most, and probably port 8080 as well, because that's going to find modems. And on a lot of networks, the fun things to find are network printers. So looking for the port 80, and then port 9100 is one that's commonly used by network printers. So you see that right away. So I would have it scan that real quick, and then after that, I would have it scan a more thorough scan. But when I had it scan that, I had a bash script that would scan that, find those, and then dump that into a HTML file and create tags, so that once it scanned that, before it did the full scan, it would open that up in a web browser, and now I can see any printer or anything that has a web server running on it, and I can just click on it and go straight to that web page. And that's one of the things I've had people say, I don't know how you do terminal stuff on your phone. I don't sit there and type a lot of stuff on my phone. I type it, I hook my phone to my computer, either I usually SSH into it through Termux. I type out my scripts, and then I create icons for them, or aliases, to where I just have to type 2 or 3 keys to run a script. Click it, and I have it generate. Again, I like things like HTML. I can create an interface from my bash script that will open up in a web browser locally on my machine. Don't need a web server because it's just HTML file. It just opens it up, and then I can create buttons and stuff based on what the bash script generated. I don't know, maybe it did passive scan better than Nmap. New Age Computer or Photonics. Using lights to do calculations. I don't know. Quantum computers always sound... First time I read about quantum computers, and I've talked about this before, a book called The Code Book. Came out, I think, 1999 by Simon something. Someone complained last time I talked about that I didn't have the book in front of me, because I let someone borrow it, and I recently got it back, but I don't have it right next to me right here. In the last chapter, they talk about quantum computers and quantum physics. And to me, most quantum physics stuff sounds like imaginary land. I don't know. Quantum computers, when they really create quantum computers, that actually do something useful, okay, then I'll be a believer. In the article, the guy adds a new feature to Amazon displaying the total price of a wish list. And then others did the entire time of the YouTube video queue. So So it's exactly what you say, you write it yourself. The extension makes it easy to hook into DOM events. So it does exactly what you say, you write it yourself. So are you saying you write it in plain text and it generates code for you? That's my question. I know there's a delay in the video. It's going to be a little while before you answer. Chris, do you actively scan, I guess? I also, it also gives you scanning, but more easy and faster. Passive scanning is more tactile, like sniffing for info. Um, it's like if I'm on a network, what am I looking for? I guess is the thing. Like, a lot of times I'll scan a network. Well, back in the day it was fun. You get on a wireless network somewhere and you could see all the devices. You could see sometimes the registers and stuff at places. I mean, they might be locked down, but you can still see them. Now, most public Wi-Fi you get on, they have it set up so that you're basically on your own little network and you can't see anybody else, which I think is good from a security standpoint. Kind of annoying if you're on a system where maybe you want to communicate from your laptop to your phone and now you can't unless you go out to the internet and back around. But it was a lot more fun back in the day. There's usually not much to scan on public Wi-Fi. If I'm on a network where I think there might be something important for me to see, like I said, I'll just quickly just nmap -p80 and a range of IPs. But I mean, again, it just depends on if I'm actually looking for something. Lots of times, if I scan a network, it's just because I'm curious what's going on and I want to protect myself and see if there's anything odd going on. So just to do a quick scan, and when I do the quick scan, well, I'm sorry, lost my train of thought. If I do a quick scan and don't see anything, it's like, okay, I'm not too worried. Again, it just depends on what you're doing. It also gives you who's scanning, but more easily, faster, scanning, tackle, scanning, sniffing info, no, bird. Oh, so you're saying no to my comment on, yeah, I'll just have to look into the plugin you're talking about. I mean, if you're writing the code yourself, why not just make the plugin yourself? I guess is my question. Birds, you scaring me, bro. I will stop now. I don't wish to scare anymore. What did he say that was scary? Or was that a joke? I don't know. This was fun. Thanks for the AMA session. No, I was joking. What I was trying to say was that custom CSS extension gives you a scratch pad to write JavaScript. Oh, I'd have to look into it. How's that any different than opening up your developer's console and clicking on the console and just typing out JavaScript? Or you can modify CSS by changing it right in the developer console. I'm just trying to understand how this thing works. I guess I could look it up. You can save. Okay. Include libraries. Yeah, but if you're writing JavaScript and CSS, I don't know. I just think if you're doing that, why not just write it in your own JavaScript file as an extension? Why have an extension to run your script that could just be run as an extension? I'm sure there's a reason. I just have to look into it. I think you like it. I might. I'll look into it. You know what was cool back in the day? And I'm sure there's an extension that does it. Things that record your actions on websites, right? So like back in the day, you used to be able to. There was an extension or something. I don't remember if it was for. Might have been for Firefox. I'm going back like 15 years. You click a record button and then you fill out forms, click stuff, and then replay it. That's neat. I mean, I could script all that out, but it'd be nice to have something that does that. I do recommend taking a look at the Hugging Face. So, and that's an AI thing. Tell me more about it. The delay is killing the back and forth. I'm sorry. Again, I have to play around with my ffmpeg command. I don't want to, I mean, I have to stop it now to change it, and that would stop the stream. But I probably, it's telling me, it's still telling me that my current bit rate is too high. It's at 5,000 kilobits per second, and it recommends 1,000. I thought I changed that in my ffmpeg command. Again, this was spur of the moment. I'm just playing around here. I'm enjoying talking with you guys. And I'm sorry that there's like a 10 or 15 second delay in what you're typing and what I'm saying. I'm looking at, so just to update you, in 2 days on May 10th, my video is going to be logging data to a web server. We're just going to use BusyBox's HTTPD and a bash script to record any variables sent from wget or a web browser into a text file, just to show the bare minimum. And again, I'll say it multiple times in the video, there's no security in what I'm doing there, and you have to take that into account, but the fact of storing information into a file that's sent to a web server literally is one command. Or one line, I should say. It's a cat command redirected into a text file. And then I have a little show of demonstration of a script I wrote that pulls down poster art from movies, but not only pulls it down, but gives you the option to display it in your terminal as ASCII art. It's not really ASCII art, but you get the idea. Then I got some stuff, a video on making it look like you're typing as a typewriter in Bash, which I've done videos on before, but I must have done an updated video on that. Again, I recorded these videos a couple months ago. Piping color output in Bash, because there's certain commands where you can type and you can get color output, but then when you pipe it into something else, like to save into a file, it's lost. I show you some options on doing that. I have 2 videos on that topic, one of them which saves the color codes as HTML. So if you have HTML output that has color in it, I'm going to show you a program that allows you to generate a HTML page that will then make it look like the terminal with the color. Anyway, let's see. Where did you guys go? Where did I put live stream? Here we go. Okay. What do you think about the message, the one I sent on Matrix? Oh, let me see. Hacker selling SS7 zero-day vulnerabilities on Hacker Forum for $5,000. Security news. Did anyone else had a sus coming lately? Because my friend found this one. So I'm sorry, I'm mumbling. I should read out loud louder. So this is a link he sent to me in a different thing, since YouTube seems to be blocking URLs. My wife is on her, I'm hoping this would be 30 minutes. Done. Sorry, my wife is texting me. I'll look at that in a moment. She might be on her way home. Hacker selling SS7 zero-day vulnerability on Hacker Forum for $5,000. I'd have to read through this. New exploit target, critical telecom infrastructure. Yeah, I'd have to read through this. I mean, SMS is not a secure way to talk. Unfortunately, I would love if everyone... I like using Matrix. Me and my wife use Matrix. Unfortunately, me, my wife, and my kids, talk through Matrix. We don't text anymore. I find it a lot more secure, even though I'm still using Matrix Server. Matrix is nice in the aspect that open source clients, there are servers out there that you can use. You can set up your own, but they interconnect. It's kind of like email in the way that you can run your own server. At least it used to be. That's something I can go on and on about. But I'll have to look into that a little bit more. Where were we? That's Chris with a K and a single S. Hello, Casil Miner. You didn't live stream for so long. I know, it's hard. I do it because, yeah. Oh, sorry. It's hard for me to live stream. One, I don't like live streaming my screen because I'm always afraid that private things are going to pop up. Kind of like my wife was just texting me, and I use KDE Connect, so all that shows up on my screen. If I forget to turn off my phone, all of a sudden private text messages might show up, or if I leave my Element tab open. I've thought about doing live streams more now, since back again on Black Friday I bought a more powerful computer, which means I could run a virtual machine better. And then instead of sharing the whole screen, I could just share just the virtual screen, the virtual machine. So I could do a live stream. It's also hard for me to schedule a live stream. I have a lot of free time, but usually during the day, I'm usually busy in the evenings. And like I'm doing a live stream now, it's a little later in the day. But, I got a wife and 2 kids and homeschool, so my kids are home all the time. So doing a live stream is a little bit harder than just recording tutorials real quick. And again, I usually, when they're out, like right now they were out for about 2 hours. Normally I'd knock out like 5 or 6 videos real quick, but I decided to try this live stream instead. So it's just hard. And then here we're talking about how YouTube, if you try to put a URL in the chat, it doesn't come through. So they're saying we should base 64 the URLs. That's not a bad idea. If you need to share something like that, go ahead and base 64 it there. See if it blocks. See if YouTube's smart enough to catch that. There's the link. Did you actually URL encode a link? Because it didn't come through. Yay, agree, it works. It works? No link shown. Okay. I sent it. Yeah, we don't see a base 64 URL. This would be a fun project. How can we easily create a link, something that we could pull, share links with that would show up here? It seems to be detecting base 64 and blocking that as well. Is that what we're saying? Let me check that out real quick. So let me https filmsbychris.com, pipe that into base 64. So if I post this here, this is my link. Oh, do you guys see that base 64? I remember a guy used to, sorry, I remember a guy used to inspect to find that teachers' social security numbers on a website is stored in HTML as base 64, a hidden element. Then they thought he is a hacker to get it when it's just F12. Yeah, that's another thing where people just need to educate themselves, and it is hard. It's like I'm going back over 20 years ago because I've been with the fire department 21 years now, and it was a job I had previous to that. I was working at a job where I actually programmed lighting systems before people had smart homes, right? So I'm talking about 2002, right? 2002, I live in a place where I live outside town, but there are some very wealthy people who live where I live, and back then people would pay to have basically smart homes, smart lighting systems. And we had and I've talked about this before in videos, we would, in the garage, I did the low voltage stuff, but they would have these big panels, boom, in like next to the breaker boxes that all the lights went to. So it's like a whole set of lights would go to one of these inputs, and each of these modules was $500 to $700. $500 for relays that just turned on and off, and it only controlled 4 sets of lights. And then if it was a dimmer, it was like double that price. It was close to $1,000 for ones that dimmed lights. And each module, again, it was probably about this big, would control 4 sets of lights. So you could have multiple lights, but they would all have to be connected together. And so a whole house, people would have like 4 or 5 of these panels with 2 modules in each one, I think it was, each controlling, 4 sets of lights. It was super duper expensive, but I would program these modules, and so you would have, instead of a regular light switch, you would have a light switch that had like 8 buttons on it, each one labeled, and we could set that when you press this button, it would turn on this set of lights and that set of lights, and this button might turn off that one and then turn on this one, and then if it was dim, you press this one, and I would program it so it would slowly fade up to a certain percentage, and you can have one button that like turn on in a room, like turn on the wall lights and maybe the rope lighting, and then the ceilings, but then you have another button that might turn off just that lights or turn on just so it's kind of like people do now with cheap little devices, but they were super duper multi-million-dollar homes. Like before I worked there, the company did Larry Bird's house. It was either Larry Bird or his mom. I know Tom Cruise's mom lived in town for a while. Anyway, yeah, there's expensive houses. Again, these days, and then right towards the end of me working there, they started having it to where we could hook it to a phone line, and people would be able to call into their house and then use touch tones to turn on lights so that they can get their lights on before they get home. So they call, press 1 to turn on your living room lights, boop. Press 2 to turn on your garage lights, boop. And I didn't have too much experience with that because that was something most people didn't use and we were just looking into. Anyway, so I programmed those lights. And when I say program, we had an application that we would just basically, it was filling out forms and it would generate code. But I poked around in the files and found the text file that it created, and it was just I didn't know much. I knew how to program at the time, but I didn't know a whole lot of programming, so I don't know if it was natural language or something they made up. But I started manipulating the code and putting secret features in there. That's a whole nother topic. And the reason I bring this up, why was I talking about this? Oh, while I was working there, right, I was just learning about, this is back in my Windows day, before I had started using Linux. I had heard of Linux, saw it once, never used it though. And all my programming, I used batch files for a lot, and I used Visual Basic for a lot, and Visual Basic 6. And when I say I use Visual Basic 6, a lot of what I did was I designed an application in Visual Basic, and then had buttons, and when you click it, it just ran a shell command, which I think is how programming should be. But I did know some Visual Basic, but for the most part it was design a button, click the button, and run a shell script in the background. Not shell script, but a batch file or batch command in the background, or maybe use timers to set things off. Anyway, I didn't know, I was just learning about port scanning, and Legion, there was a port scanner, I think it was called Legion, I'm surprised I remember that. And I would scan ports. I didn't know what to do for the most part when I would scan ports, but I did know a little bit, and I scanned ports at work, and I scanned our server. And it was a Windows server for backing stuff up, and it had Telnet port open, FTP server open, all these ports that I felt shouldn't be open. And now I know that a lot of devices just leave those ports open. Doesn't necessarily even mean that it's really accessible. But I went to the owner of the company. I said, hey, just so you know, we have these ports open, and I don't think we're using them, and I don't feel like they should. So the guy who's in charge of the server, which wasn't me, I'm like, you should talk to him about shutting down these servers. And he looked at me and goes, why are you looking at that stuff? I go, what? He goes, why are you even looking at that? I go, I was just scanning, and he got mad at me. I'm just like, I was just looking because I'm learning about this, and I know that you shouldn't have ports open that you don't need open. We have a server. I thought I'd scan it just to see, and I didn't get in trouble or anything, but he just got like, touchy with me. Fast forward a few years, back in 2009, working at the fire department, completely different world. Things are so different now. I had torn my bicep. Remember, that's when I first started doing, you watch my early YouTube videos, my arm was in a sling. I tore my bicep. And they put me on light duty, and the chief asked me to do some work. So I started, again, I'd been programming for 10 years at the time, but I still knew so little. It's just amazing how little I knew about programming. It wasn't until I really switched to Linux, which I started switching to Linux in around 2006. So at this point, I was starting to learn more, and I was starting to come along a lot, learning about servers and stuff. But I set up all this stuff. I started making all these programs for the department, and he was loving it. The chief was like, oh, tell me how great I was doing. People would come to me, go, oh, I just had lunch with the chief. I don't know what you're doing, but he's loving it. He went from loving me to, we got a new IT guy, and I disagreed with the IT guy, and I criticized him. All of a sudden, the chief did not like, and I said, I don't like what this guy's doing. I'm not involved in this. All of a sudden, the chief did not like me anymore. And we had gotten new computers shortly after. And at that point, we had been using Windows XP, which I was familiar with, even though I wasn't using it anymore at that point. I had switched to Linux, a few years earlier. I'd never used Windows Vista. And I think when we got these new computers, they were Windows 7. Does that sound right? 2009? It's funny because the old computers weren't locked down at all. And this one, I'm trying to remember all the details. Anyway, I was like, I don't know anything about Windows 7. I don't have a Windows 7 machine. I want to look at this. I want to learn a little bit. So I opened up the regedit and started looking through some of the settings, because when I was a Windows user, I would mess with the regedit all the time to change things on the computer, just manually. That's how I roll. And I'm just, scrolling through, looking to see, and there's a registry. It didn't change. There was nothing really new in there that was used for me, but I was just exploring. While I was doing that, the IT guy walked by, saw me doing it, went to the chief, told him that I was like hacking into the computer, and the chief went off on me. He's like that I was looking at private stuff. And could not get away with this these days. I started yelling at the chief. I'm like, you have no clue what you're talking about. I wasn't doing anything private. I don't care what that idiot says. And I start banging on the wall. But yeah, it's just like, I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just looking at the system. He told me it's like me going into his office and going through his personal files. I'm like, no, this is the registry. This is the settings of the computer, how the computer works. It's not private files, but he doesn't understand that. He's just told by this idiot IT guy that I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing. And it's like, well, I didn't hack the system. If I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing, I shouldn't have permissions to do it. You know, but if I'm able to get into the reg edit on the machine with my user permissions, then why should I think I'm not supposed to be doing that? I wasn't trying to do anything malicious. Anyway, let's see. This is why I learn about securing before going into it. Let me scroll back up here. Let's see. Okay, base 64. I see the base 64. Base 64. The length. Oh, you did a long base 64. It was too long. Yeah, make it short. Okay, we're still talking about sharing URLs. I already got into a lot of legal trouble, and that kind of stuff. Oh, we're talking about the article. Oh, there's another time. You know, there's certain things I would not do something malicious, because why? But I've done some things that could probably have gotten me in trouble, but I'm stand my ground. So, long story. Where I live, there used to be multiple fire departments, but over the years we've merged into one. And it's been 10 years, but there's a lot of headbutting, right? Departments who used to get along when we were separate now can't stand each other because we have to work with each other. Anyway, the union gets a website. It is horrible, and I point out some security issues in it. Right? I point out that it lets you. I don't remember the details, but it let me on my thing. I think fill out description, but it let me put JavaScript in the description. And I talked about it, and no one was doing anything about it. And so I wrote some JavaScript that when someone went to my description, it would change their profile photo to a monkey wearing a firefighter helmet. And when I did that, some of the guys from the other department that were on the union board, sent out an email. Oh, I can't believe you did this. We're going to get lawyers and we're going to come after you. And I'm thinking, I'm in the union. You're going to attack me for doing something on the union site when I'm paying union fees? It's like, whatever. And literally a week later, the union asked me to design a website for them, and I did. And they used it for about 2 years, and then they went to some other service. But yeah, it's just like, yeah, I did. There was another time, again, with the fire department, for years. Again, I like web-based applications for a lot of things. I don't want to install an application to fill out a form. When I'm at work, I don't want to have to install things on my computer to get things done. I think the delay on this video is really, really long right now. Anyway, and I was pushing. I kept saying, and this is, again, 2009-ish, I kept saying we need to do things web-based. People are, smartphones were just becoming a thing. I'm like, people are going to want to access these things on their phones. I can create HTML forms for all this stuff, to look up information, to submit stuff, blah, 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 blah. And I had a little bit of leeway with the chief for those 2 months when I was on light duty and had that falling out. And then that chief leaves. He kind of got kicked out. That's the whole story. Then this other guy was a chief for a little bit. He went to some seminar somewhere, some conference, came back, and had this whole thing where we're going web-based, like it was his idea. But they went with this company, which was really just one guy who was like a retired firefighter, who ended up being a real nice guy. But there were a lot of issues with his website. And one of the big ones was he wasn't using JavaScript. He was using Visual Basic Script on his website in 2009, 2010. And so me, now being a Linux user, it's not functioning. So I was just learning JavaScript at the time. So I would have to go in and change. look at his Visual Basic script, figure out how it works, and then like rewrite it. And I found that when you go to log in, he checked somehow he was checking your credentials on the client side, right? I don't remember the details, but I know that I rewrote some JavaScript and embedded it in the page on my web browser using some sort of plugin or extension that allowed me to type in my username and password. But one time I went there, I went to log in, and I forgot to type in my credentials. I just hit enter, and I got logged in. If you didn't put a valid username or password, it logged you in as user 00000 or something like that. And I was like, I am logged in as some user that doesn't exist. That's not good. And I tried telling the department out. They told me they were going to pass things along to this guy. And I'm getting upset with this guy because he's not doing anything about it. And well, later on, I actually met the guy in person. Turns out they weren't forwarding anything to him. So I'm in there. So not only am I able to log in as anybody, when I go to log in, if I go to reset my password, right? I type in my password and it would email me my password. It's one of those where no one should ever store your password in plain text. It should be encrypted and hashed, right? They would email you your password. Well, I looked at the page again because for it to work, I couldn't get it to work because it was Visual Basic script, not JavaScript. I realized that I had a user ID in the page. Let's say my user ID was 86. I changed to 85. And I think it also had my email address in the page. No. Yeah, it already had my email address in the page. So I just changed the username, set read password, and it sent me somebody else's password to my email address. So I'm trying to let the department know, listen, you can log in without a username and password. And once you're logged in as anybody, you can get someone's password. I'm telling someone else about this, a lieutenant about this, or a captain about this. He goes, oh, it's just department stuff. I'm not too worried about it. And I look at him, I go, here's a question. Do you use that same password on all your other stuff? He goes, oh, I didn't think about that. It's like, yeah. So I log in. I can see everybody's information. I can see everyone's email address. So now I know your email address. I can get your password. So I could probably log into your email. And from there, I can probably figure out your regular, your personal email, whatever websites you go to. And you're using that same password on all websites. Anyway, I never got in trouble for any of that stuff. But it was just annoying that nobody was doing about it when I was pointing it out. Let's see. Just wanted to say that a lot of people view you using alternative front ends. I saw a comment where you said your engagement is low, but we just use, yeah, I know people have told me my website, and that's fine. I just feel like I'm happy that most of my videos, usually in the first week, get between, I would say, 300 to 500 views, and then it kind of drops off then. Again, when I go to YouTube, I very rarely click on any videos. Sometimes I'll click on videos just to give someone the view. Or sometimes if I'm really, really bored and I've watched all my subscriptions, I'll click on a bunch of videos just to get YouTube to suggest stuff. Because it doesn't know what I normally watch because I never watch the videos through YouTube. I go to the YouTube and look at my subscriptions, but then I watch them using MPV. So it's not going to count as a view on... That battery died. So I was charging another battery. Let me put these ones back on the charger. That's the one problem using the DSLR is that I don't have a power supply for it. I have to use the batteries. Anyway, my throat's getting sore because I've been talking so much. Yeah, so I've always assumed that a lot of my viewers don't actually watch my videos through YouTube. They're using like NewPipe, they're using YouTube DL, or some other front end that bypasses that. And I get that, and that's fine. But then I look at other people who do similar videos to me, and they have so many more views than me. And you would think their viewers would be along the same lines. Some people I like watching. Again, earlier I mentioned Bread on Penguins is her name. I don't know the girl's actual name. Again, nice younger girl, very smart when it comes to computer stuff, especially for someone her age. There's the other guy... You Suck at Programming. He's a Bash guy, not necessarily. He uses Mac a lot. You would think a lot of he would have the same, viewers as me. Same group of people. And there's a few other. It's like, or like back in the day, Luke Smith used to get so many views, and you would think, I feel like my videos were similar to his. It's just disappointing. And then it's like I see a lot of Linux videos that aren't technical like mine, and they get so many views, and I just think I also feel like a lot of my videos are just very, very specific. But I'm happy with the number of views I get, but I also wish there were more. But yeah, I have an RSS feed on my site, and I have that for people. Windows servers thing for XP systems has Telnet, HP stuff. Did it work, guys? No, it didn't. You guys still trying to share URLs? Oop, the chat just jumped ahead. Looks like you as an author can share that, but me as a viewer can't share URLs. Did I share a URL, or are we talking about, or even encoded? Okay, so we're still talking about encoded. Interesting. Then we need to come up with our own way of things. So this is what we do. Create base 64, but append it where the first letter is U. And we all know to copy that, remove the U, and then decode it. Because I'm assuming it's looking at that and going, oh, it's base 64 and decoding it. But if you add an extra letter to it where it's actually attached, it's not going to be able to decode it. But we're smart enough to figure that out, right? That would be my suggestion. Give it a try. LOL. I think it's quite okay. The delay. My extreme internet can't even play the stream back. I'm just reading stuff you guys are writing. The password shall not be stored on the server. The password hash shall be securely stored on the server. Right. You want a hash of it. I think I said encrypted, but yeah, just a salted hash is what the server should have. Battery, yep. Sorry that your slow internet is preventing you from watching a live video. Maybe you can download it later on with YouTube DL. It's 11 o'clock, 2300 hours in Germany. As a 40-plus-year-old, I need to get some sleep. Yeah, I'm usually in bed by 10 o'clock at the latest. Midnight in Russia. I am inclined to start up an army of VMs, Android devices, and click farm your channel. That would be awesome. As long as when I first started monetizing my channel, first couple months I was making like $400 a month, which was awesome. Because now I think I make like $70 a month, and that went on for a couple of months, and then I got not banned, but they removed it, and I couldn't monetize my videos for a couple of years. I kept on trying to appeal it, and then eventually I sent an appeal saying, "Hey, I've got 50,000 subscribers. I've got lots of videos. Why is this?" So I don't know why my subscription or my monetization got taken away. I don't know if one of my viewers was trying to do that for me and it looks suspicious. So I say, yeah, do it, but at the same time, I don't want to lose that ability. But yeah. Subscriber here, yep. Oh, any Nullbyte subscribers here? I thought you were just calling out the subscribers. Anyway, I think I am going to end this stream. Ever tried reading SMS messages from the Linux shell? So if you want to read SMS messages from your Linux shell, Termux API works great for that. I actually have a script that runs every couple of minutes on my device that actually takes them, reformats them, and then sends them to my server. And then I also have them synced with KDE Connect. But yeah, every couple of minutes, maybe even a minute or every 5 minutes, I do that. So if you want to do it with Termux, you can. You just need the API, and it will read your messages for you. You can also read notifications, which is helpful. I actually have an icon I set up that runs a bash script that looks at my notifications and looks for Element chats and my SMS chat, and then will read it using eSpeak or something. No, it uses the Android voice to text or text to voice. So that if I'm driving, I can just click that button and it will read my notifications for me. But yes, if not, then I think you need to access that. You need root. And then it's just in a database, which I have scripts. If you go to filmsbychris.com, up in the top corner, you'll see, let's see, let me make sure I'm telling you properly. Filmsbychris.com, up in the top right, there is, up on the top menu, there's software, or if you open up the menu on the mobile device, click on software. That will bring you down. There's an icon that says notes. Click on notes. In there, type in SMS, and then I have some scripts here, and then there's one. Yeah, I have one on reading the database. So it's called Android SMS and MMS text message info, which is just information on it. You can look through here. I probably have some scripts too. Yeah, actually, I have one, Termux SMS send log for Android. Click on that, and that's a script that will take your SMS messages, and then yeah, I have it set up. It will run a curl command. You give it a URL, and it will send it URL, username, and password, and you can have it submit your text messages to a server. But the other one, so on an Android device, the folder /data com.android.providers.telephony /databases, and then there's a database called mmsSMS.db. And then I have all the commands here, some example commands to use SQLite 3 or SQLite 3 to get the information out of there, and to even format it as a JSON if you want, how to get the last 50 messages. So I have examples of all that, but you do need to be root to access that to the best of my knowledge. The only other option is, I don't know if you can access notifications if the SMS hasn't been read yet without root, but you're going to need root or Termux to access that, pretty sure. So I hope that helps out. I'm looking to see. No, I don't see your base 64. Did you do like I said, where you tried to add an extra letter on it? Oh, but you added UUU to the beginning. No, I don't see that. Huh. YouTube is smart. Maybe it's just seeing it as gibberish and thinking anything that isn't just regular text is garbage. Okay, as soon as we can post links here, Chris, take a look at the paste bins. Okay, communicate, Skyline, Bash graphics. Have a great day. I think YouTube engineers taught about the way of filtering URLs. Reverse things. Yes, reverse HTML. There you go. That works. And then you can use TAC to reverse that. That works. At least it did that one time. Very cool, very cool. Well, I'm glad we're having fun. Yeah, so, like I said, I feel like I should get going. It's been real fun. What do you think? Should I do this again? Should I do another live? I don't know when I'm going to have a chance, but if I have a chance, should I do another live video like this where I just talk about random stuff? Who was asking about the SMS messages, the text messages? I hope that answers your question. Again, I always think it's silly that you need to have root access to access your text messages, but then you don't need root as long as you give an application permissions to read your text messages. Yeah, but as I always say, why not root your device? Again, always unlock your bootloader. That's my recommendation. Buy a phone that allows you to unlock your bootloader easily. If not, there's usually ways around doing it. Once you unlock your bootloader, it's going to wipe everything out on your device, your personal data. That's why I say do that right away. And then, even if you don't root at that point, with something like Magic or Magix, however you say it, you can turn root on and off as you like. So if you need to root it for a while, you can. If you don't want to, you can. I always leave it rooted because there's always stuff I want to do, like pulling my SMS messages with a script without having to use some sort of API, or just backing up that whole database is good. Um, wow, now it's saying my current bitrate is over 8,000 kilobytes per second. Yeah, I need to figure out this FFmpeg command a little bit better. Problem is, if you don't unlock your bootloader right away, and then later on you decide to, when you do, it's going to wipe all your personal information. And then you're going to have to reset all that up. And it's hard to back up stuff without having root access, in my opinion. And yeah, having your bootloader unlocked can be a security issue if someone was to steal, actually physically have your phone. In theory, all your personal information is going to be encrypted on the phone. Theoretically, they can modify the system. Obviously, if you can root it, they can change it. And then, so if someone's take your phone and the bootloader's unlocked, they can modify the system that when they give it back to you and you log in, it can then run a script and do stuff. I find that very highly unlikely. Of course, it depends on who you are. Are we talking about government knocking on your door and taking your phone, or someone swiping your phone? Because most people who swipe your phone are just going to sell it for parts. And they're not going to be able to access your files because they're encrypted. They're not going to be able to decrypt them unless they modify the system and give it back to you, right? Or, they cut your finger off. But even that, if the phone's shut down, your finger won't work to unlock it. Or 8,000. That is way too high for, yeah. I don't know. I set my FFmpeg command, again, which I was just looking up as I was starting this video. Here, let me paste this. Oh, my wife just said she's on her way home. Let me paste this. Let me turn here so you can see me while I type. Paste bin. Paste this in here. Oh, but erase my private key. Private key. And I'm going to string YouTube FFmpeg. So let me see, am I allowed to share links with you guys, or am I going to have to do the backwards thing? If I do this, do you see that link? That is the command I used to stream. I need to make some changes to it. Yeah, you say I'm admin. The reason I ask, I understand that I'm the hosting the video so I can post URLs, but I have had times where people ask me questions in comments on YouTube, and I've put links to stuff, and I can see them, but they don't see that comment. So I wasn't sure in this aspect. But I thought it might. That's why I posted that. Anyway, have a great day. Sweaty armpit. Okay. And ending stream.